Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Coding Ninja, and this is the lecture 3 in the Spring Boot series, which will be continuing now. So if you remember from the last video, I gave you a basic idea of what our database would look like. We'll have a product, it will have 5 columns. Four of them would be simple ones like string, numeric, and if you remember, I mentioned this would be a decimal one actually. And product type is the last column. That would also be a type of string, but it will be a foreign key to the table product type, just so we cover all the bases. And again, product type will have one product type ID as a string. It will have a random UUID, and it will be the primary key, and there will be a description which we are taking as a blob. So blob is a binary large object, so it is usually used to store large amounts of data. So if you remember this till this point, we can move ahead now. Now I have created a table of this in my local MySQL server, and I have made this have added this test data, and I will provide both the I'll provide all the commands you might need to get this data set up, like both the tables and the data setup as well. But it is quite simple, and I will pick up MySQL explanation in one of the next few videos in a separate series where we'll take simpler things like simpler and smaller things like MySQL, Git, and small things like that. So I'll add MySQL kind of tutorial over there, and anybody who, in the meantime, if anybody has doubts, you can maybe ask them in the comment section, and I can get to those comments. All right. Now going back to our application, this is still the simple application that we had yesterday, that we had last time. If I run this application right now, only this log will print. Let's just have a look. Give it a second, it is still building. In the meantime, let's check the form. Okay, so these things are still commented out, so we won't be facing any issues. So, okay, we get the output, the server application is working. Now, going to the application properties. Yeah, so in the last video, I mentioned about the server port and different kind of properties related to your application we can put over here. So I'll just for the sake of the example, I will put the server.port, and I will change it from the default one, which is 8080. I'll change it to something else, like maybe 9090 or 9190 or something like that. And let me restart the application. Okay, now you can see the server has started on the 9191 port. So, so as you can see, this has changed. So actually, yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention yesterday. So this is the .properties file extension which we are using as of right now. But what a lot of companies also there's another way to basically do it, which would be the YAML file. So YAML file, if you know, is kind of like a JSON kind of, not exactly a JSON format, but kind of an object kind of a structure. So in that, basically what you will do is, for the same command, you would do server : then it will do tab, and then port you will specify 9191. And the benefit of actually using a YAML file is you don't need to put the same things over and over again. So for example, if there are, let's say, 20 properties on server, so you don't need to put like one by one. So server.port is equal to this, server.url is, let's say, is equal to this. You don't need to keep changing those things like that. Instead, you'll just do one server, then you just do one tab. That will be the next property, let's say ABC, and its value is, let's say, again, ASD. Now the next property, and again, like, you can also indent these things as well. So let's example. So ABC has a property called BCD, and which has the value of, let's say, ASD. And another property, let's say CDE, which has a property POI. So you can basically expand it like this. So yeah, in this, since we have quite a simpler application, I will stick to the application properties, mostly because it is just there, and I'm lazy enough to not create a new one. All right. So since this is done, I'll remove these things, and we will go to actually writing some code. So I'll create a new Java class. This will be our controller class, and I'll come to controller just in a second. All right. So we have a new class over here, and just one thing I would like to point out. So like in IntelliJ, if you do like something like abc dot, and then you put something like that, and like it'll basically keep creating these outer things as packages. The except the last thing would be a class, and apart from that, it will creating a nested kind of a structure. So if I do an enter on this, so you can see abc, then asd, and then asd is the class name. So just an explanation of that. I'll delete that. Okay. So we need to annotate this class with a REST mapper, REST controller. So basically, REST controller is your entry point into the application, and any sort of URL. So since we are creating an API, so you'll basically have API endpoints which you will hit to get certain data. So what we will do is, so this at the REST controller annotation is basically the first point of contact from the outside APIs. So basically, when you hit the API from Postman, I'll just show that to you in a second as well. So we will be getting to this class, and if it matches something, then it will trigger the whatever code is written in there. So let's just do the first one. I'll do a simple heartbeat as of right now. So basically, a heartbeat is a simple function to basically tell you if the application is up and running. So I'll do a get mapping for that because we don't really have any object for that. I mean, we are not exactly sending any sort of results with that. So let's say heartbeat. Okay, so here you are. So here this method prototype will be public only. It will be return. You can return anything over here. So you can also return void as well. So in case you have a post method where you are saving your data and you just want to know if it's working or not. So basically you can get that information from the HTTP status code, and you can return this heartbeat, and you can return this string. And yeah, you can return void in that scenario. And you can just return with the help of the HTTP protocol. I mean, not the protocol, the response code. You can just from that you can identify. So let's say you said 201 created and 404 not found or something like that. You can go with that. And this is just a function name. So this can be kind of a random name. You don't have to specify any specific things over here, but it is usually better to have it matching some sort of to whatever the get mapping is basically. So basically whatever the function is doing, it is better to have it match that. Let's just do a simple return. And so we are doing this over here. Application is working. Now let's just restart the application. Okay, so now we have the application is working. Now what we'll do is we'll go to the Postman. We can create a new collection and call it, let's say, Spring Boot application. I'll go into the Spring Boot application. I'll add a new request. So I'm using a GET request. It is on HTTP and not HTTPS. So localhost 9191, and I'll do a heartbeat. Oh, sorry, I added that actually in the name. Let me actually just change the name. Heartbeat. So you see application is working. So yeah, and HTTP status as 200 okay. And also, like, instead of just returning simple objects, you can basically do some sort of compound, like basically you can create a custom class and you can return that as well. And just another thing I would like to point out, like, so what is usually a good practice is to return a response entity. So basically a response entity is a response object on which you can modify the status of it. So let's just do response entity. We are specifying it as of type string, and let's call it result. is equal to new response entity. So result dot um, just a second, I'm forgetting. Yeah, I need to specify over here. So application is working. So all right, let me just go into this thing. So we can return a string and HTTP status. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So we'll have application is working, and we'll get the return status code as HTTP status code dot value of 200, let's say, and we'll do returns result. Sorry, no enum constant. So I'm not sure what this is. HTTP status code dot. Let me just do this. HTTP status code, no? And we have 200. It should be working. I'm not sure what is the issue. Give me a minute. I'll come back to this. Hey guys, I'm back. So I'm not sure what the issue is. I guess it was an issue with IntelliJ. As you can see, I haven't made any sort of changes to this code. What I just did was I just went to the settings and I just changed my SDK version from 20 to 17 and it's working somehow. So I'm not sure what the issue is. So, okay, well, anyways, so getting back to the topic. So we are now returning the result. Like on the Postman, if you hit send now, it will still look the same. So like to you at the at the end, like it might not look like a difference, but the thing is like you cannot modify other HTTP properties of it. So for example, if you wanted to return 201, for example, if you want to return like created, if I remember correctly, 201 is the created code, and let's say this was some sort of create method. So you would then so this would not change if you were just simply returning string, and we are using this response entity. And coming to the custom object as well, so let's just do that. So what I'll do is I'll create a new DTO, and this will be the DTO. So what I'll do is I'll use the Lombok settings, the Lombok annotation. So I'll have getters, setters, and all ask constructor. So we'll have private string application name, private string status, application status. And you can add whatever you want, but yeah, so for the example sake, we'll just keep it like this. And I'll go back to the controller. I changed the return type to product, sorry, not product, heartbeat DTO. And we'll change this. I'll have a new constructor over here, the new heartbeat DTO, and we'll need string, first string. So that will be our application name. So what, instead of directly coding an application name over here, so what I'll do is I'll put something over here. Application.name is equal to Java Spring application. I'll put this over here. Now to get this, what I can use is another annotation, so @value. So basically what this will do is it will fetch whatever I have in my application.properties. I just have to specify this name. So if I do, and this will be private string application name. So what I'll do is I'll paste this over here, and application status will put application is working. Now let's see, in the variable, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so everything looks fine. Let's rerun this application, and we will get this object as a result now, instead of just a single string. Okay, so now you can see, now we are getting an object. Since this is a JSON, so we are getting basically a JSON object. Okay, application.name, it is not, oh sorry, I forgot this. So actually this has a special syntax. If I remember correctly, it should be like this. Otherwise, I'll need to look it up on the internet. Just a second. Let's hope this works. Yeah, so this is the syntax. So my intuition was correct. Yeah, so just one thing. So if you don't specify these curly brackets and dollar sign, you will basically whatever you'll have over here, it will put it in the string value. And now you can get this. So for application name, the reason like I wanted to get it from the application property. So like it's just a good practice to have it in application properties, like things like which can change on like the go. And so yeah, and just one more thing. So it's another like one thing I'd like to have over here is private. Another thing, let's say timestamp, and we'll need to make the changes to here as well. And this will be inside the constructor. So this will be string dot value of instant dot now, and this now this should return the time as well. So this will give the time. So okay, it is working right now. This is just something I like to have. An instant is basically a time library inside of Java. So basically a time class. Instant is a class of time package in Java. So that is what I'm using here right now. I will run it, and you can see the timestamp. So basically you can see, so it's 7th of May, and right now I'm guessing this is GMT time because this seems a little off from my local time, which you can see is 15:43. So yeah, I'm guessing this is currently the GMT time. Let's just search that. So GMT time. Yeah, so as you can see, it's the GMT. It is showing the by default. I'm guessing it shows the GMT time. So 10:12 was the application when it was run. Okay, so I think that's enough for this video. In the next lecture, what I will do is we will have this. So we will basically have an integration with our database. So we'll include these two these two tables in our database, and we'll do the database settings as well in application properties. As I mentioned, we were facing some issues because of the URL absence and things like that. So that's what I'm thinking, and hope to see you in the next video. Hope you like it. Please subscribe and like the video if you like it. And do add comments if you don't understand anything or want me to explain something. I can get back to those comments, and I'll try to make a video of as many things as possible, like in the comments, from the comments that I'll pick up. Okay, thank you. Bye.